3. Okay, so
ColecoVision
playing
flash
some
screens.
Smurfs. Yeah, and this was the standard ColecoVision one. Do you know if this was in the ColecoVision name was in ROM, or was that just on each cartridge?
No, I believe that it is something that was specifically on the ROM of the system. I know that is how it worked for Intellivision, so I think that's how it works for ColecoVision. I haven't looked that deep, but I'm pretty sure it has some on-built ROM. It doesn't serve the same function as the one in the Intellivision. And this was me just making sure I knew how to get everything. So, all right. So, I get the basics of this platforming thing, and then
the basics of dying when you touch something.
Yes, I mean, I was aware of this game. I am aware of the infamy of this game. It's like, oh, it's a Smurfs game. How difficult could it be? And the toughest part is that the way to jump is you press up, but you cannot press up while you are also walking sideways. And you have a conservation of momentum when you stop. If you pull to the right and then you stop for a couple of seconds, you will continue to have momentum going to the right.
Oh, really?
Yes. So this is I knew that it was not very standard for you to press a button to jump and whatnot. This is post Donkey Kong, and Pitfall's coming around at the same time. And also I'm at around this point I'm starting to realize, hey, this game actually has like procedural environments or something. Like I don't know exactly how this works, but it's not always the same thing.
Why did you just die on that hill? Why was that the hill you died on?
It's just it's my convictions. So
now the bird flew back.
Yeah, I switched the difficulty. Before. I started at 3, now I'm at 4. So there's differences in I think this is actually very clever the way that they did this. Level 1, no enemies. Level 2, infrequent enemies. Level 3, always an enemy. Level 4, always an enemy, and it tries to follow you.
Okay.
So yeah, the hills kill you.
What's going on with the procedure?
Like, I'm not sure exactly how this works, but it gives you a different level each time you die. Cycles through, something from that environment. And yeah, hills kill you. And so you have to walk up to it kind of deliberately, and then do a leap as you let go of the right. The rightmost thing. I imagine it's not that big a deal when you're on the ColecoVision controller, because it's very stiff. But in this case, I was using keyboard, just the arrow keys. I can't imagine it would be that much better if I had my joystick out and everything. And you start to realize, I can't remember when exactly I figured out. So the double high hills, you need to do a different jump for that. And at one point, I accidentally did the higher jump. And then I started to realize, oh, this is what I need to do.
So what's the higher jump? How do you do the higher jump?
I mean, we'll get to it. You'll be able to see, but it's a very specific sequence.
Oh, wow. Just looking at all these graphics, it just reminds me of my buddy's MSX growing up.
I mean, it is the same, same everything, basically. There's a little more RAM in an MSX, but yeah, ColecoVision was basically the starting point for that. I mean, technically the TI-99 was the starting point, because that's where the chips really come from. But, I mean, I talked to the designer of the ColecoVision. He said he was just making a hobby computer. And these are the things that he chose.
Really?
Yes. Robert Schenk is his name.
Interesting. Well, and I mean, it's a very functional system. The MSX, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. But yeah, it's... I mean,
this is an extremely good-looking ColecoVision game, especially for how early it is.
Well, I mean, the animation on the primary sprite it looks fluid, and you can recognize him as a Smurf, which, I mean, already puts it miles ahead of everything on the VCS. So,
And even though, and you can also see that it's made up of 2 sprites, because on the ColecoVision you can only do a single color per sprite, and it has the white and the black and the blue. I mean, so they actually, I don't know the specifics behind the history of this game, and yeah, they, who programmed this or anything, but they were already pushing the limits for, first couple months of the ColecoVision coming out. This is still one of the best regarded ColecoVision games.
I mean, it looks impressive. When you compare it with everything that people are playing on the VCS and the Intellivision at this point. Now, granted, there's been Intellivision games since then that look much, much better. And some of the Activision stuff looks kind of good, but this is coming out roughly at the same time as Pitfall. And
this bat annoyed the hell out of me. You can actually go backwards. I forgot about that. So that I forgot you could duck. Then I remembered again. It's like, oh yeah, I could duck. Yeah, there you go. But
interesting. The black disappeared suddenly.
Yeah, when you transition. Oh, that might just be an emulation thing. I don't think that would probably be something if you just duck and then it would appear. So it's around this point that I start to I need to figure out how to get over the double high stuff. And then I experiment a lot with things like, do I have to be very particular about when I jump and whatnot? And I kind of realized that I did a jump and then another jump and then I jumped higher, and basically you have to do 2 subsequent jumps. And I thought this was going to be a pain in the butt because you have to be moving while you're doing it. But then I realized if you just jump in place and then jump again, it automatically moves you forward.
Is this the first time that anybody has had a double jump in a game?
Ah, boy. I remember I looked into something like this at some point. And I mean, it depends on your definition of a double jump, because this is different from what we would think of as a double jump now. I've seen it has been in some other games. I can't recall off the top of my head what it is, but there are other games that if you jump again when you reach the ground, it's like a trampoline. But it's definitely early. I mean, there's a lot of early stuff. It's very Mario-like in so many different ways. But it's brutally difficult, and I'm dead. And that is the story of Smurfs, Gargamel's Castle Revenge of the Smurfs.
But it does look amazingly close to a cartoon. I mean, it's kind of scary almost. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more when we get back to the episode.